Hello, good evening. So, bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and get onto Facebook just in case I cannot see your comments on my phone. I'll be able to follow your commentary on my laptop. So, let's see here. Oh, here we go. Let's see. All right, very cool. So, I have my screen pulled up and I see one of my star students is on here. Hi, Tim. And I agree, it's been a long time, hasn't it, since I've seen you? Like, not even, what, 2 minutes ago? I'm having to get in the habit of grabbing my laptop when I do these go lives because it's been working out really well. It's just for me, it's like my mind's on my books and my that type of thing. And I have to remember, hey, wait, I need another piece of technology, right? So as a whole, today was good. My husband and I had a really good breakfast with these island mimosas again. I had like two of them. So I was feeling pretty good for a little bit. And then we went to Walmart. And then, of course, the Walmart in High Ridge here in Missouri has a Claire's built into it. So I stopped by and I got some accessories, including these little earrings I'm wearing, which are glass. They're supposed to be crystals, but they're glass. And it's got these little stars running through them. I thought they were cute. And then we pretty well, after that, took the back roads home because Missouri has some real pretty back roads, you know. And then we just kind of hung out for the rest of the day. I got some studying done. I got some reading for fun done. I generally, honestly, that's my jam. Give me a book, a blanket, something to drink, and I'm happy. I generally sit out on my front or back porch or sporadically curl up with my cats on the couch reading. So that's my exciting life, but I wouldn't trade it. Like, it's where I'm happiest, you know? So tonight we are going to continue our journey through the court cards for Pentacles. And so I'm thinking, since tomorrow is my last day off before I work Thursday and Friday, that I'll go ahead and do two different go lives tomorrow. One will be about the Queen of Pentacles, and then the other will be the King of Pentacles. So yeah, I'm going to kind of, play those out. I might end up maybe doing one, say in the morning or afternoon time frame, and then maybe another one in the evening. That way it's not back-to-back type go lives, especially with how I talk to you guys, which is my favorite part. I just want to make sure that I'm very much present and giving you guys that good info that we really enjoy having with these tarot teaching moments. So I feel like this is very much turned into tarot story time, because I'm again tonight going to lean into the literature like I did last night, because it's just that darn good. I don't see why I wouldn't want to do that. So I'm going to hold up the card that we'll be reviewing tonight. So as always, take in what the central character is doing and what it would appear that he's looking at. Look at his horse. And are they moving forward, or the horse's feet, are they firmly grounded? Okay. Take in the environment. What's in the background? Okay. What are the predominant colors that you're seeing? And just remember that everything has a reason. You know, so we're about to delve into all that good stuff together. And so this is going to be a departure from our page, which I'll briefly hold him up. And if you didn't catch that tarot teaching moment, feel free to check it out in our group, or go onto YouTube and find it on Mountain Crow Tarot, where you will be able to find all of the tarot teaching moments. So no worries if you're behind on watching them. They're all on there. So with this, we have that young energy, that wonder and awe of something new being born, thinking of that pentacle, very much like a seed, and just that excitement of starting this new journey, endeavor, relationship, or whatever it may be. But again, not taking any action, but, just very much focused on that, right? Well, the focus carries over. However, our nights are about action. So, but the thing is with this one, the horse, this big, beautiful black horse, it looks like a good workhorse. It is not moving forward. Okay. And then here is our knight, again, holding that pentacle, very much focused. With the literature that I've read, there's varying viewpoints on if the knight is looking directly at the coin or looking past the coin at the soil, and very much focused as to basically executing their plan, that long, steady, hard work to achieve an outcome. That's what we're looking at here. He is one of the calmest knights that we have, if not the probably calmest knight that we have in tarot, and we're about to go into that. So I'm going to start off with Rachel Pollack. And let's see. And as always, I will hold up the card, and then as appropriate, I will hold up my book so you can see Rachel's examples of various cards with the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, let's see here. So, and I see Patrice is on here. Welcome, Patrice. So, with all the knights we have looked at, their essential nature, to leave and return. Knights go on quest, they slay dragons, a kinetic activity if ever there was one. They return as heroes or with magic or wisdom. If we look at the writer picture for this card, its most signal feature is the lack of any movement at all. That's important to note with this card. The horse stands squarely on the grass. On the Golden Dawn, Prince of Pentacles, the bull has one hoof raised, but doesn't look like he's going anywhere fast, which I'll hold that up for you. So look at that bull there. Okay. And then on the Golden Dawn, Prince of Pentacles, okay, let's see. Actually, I just read that. In the Shining Tribe, Knower of Stones, the figure, inspired by a Native American rock painting in Texas, is filled with energy, so excited by what he knows that his hair stands straight up. The ultimate bad hair day, someone once called this card. I will hold that up so you can see. Used to, when my hair was like uber short, I would purposely spike it. I would be envious of that type of height. But that is a different take on this card, isn't it? With that hair, right? Basically the energy, that knowledge exploding. So yeah, that's a different interpretation. I'm not sure that interpretation resonates with me, but I like the art. Let's see here. And yet he too is not going anywhere, his body literally embedded in the stone. In all these examples, air of earth becomes the knight's movement, literally brought down to earth. For many, the Knight of Pentacles is the image of the dedicated worker, not ambitious or given to risk, but willing to give all his attention to his duties. This does not necessarily describe someone's personality or lifelong habits. If you face a challenge at work or some other practical area in life, gardening might be a good example where you need to give it your full attention for a period of time. You might want to invoke the Knight of Pentacles. Whenever you think of something else you'd rather be doing, you can think of the knight solidly on his horse and stay focused on your task. An alternative image comes to mind for this card. The Green Knight from the medieval story entitled Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Without going into details, we can say that the green skin of the mysterious knight identifies him as a nature spirit. Because again, remember, with Pentacles, we are talking earthly type things, right? In the story, he allows Gawain to cut off his head and then calmly walks off with it tucked under his arm. This gives us the sense of someone without ego through his attachment to the natural world. So that's what we're seeing with this card. It's somebody who is very much committed and devoted, whether it be to a romantic relationship, it could just be a friendship, of course, career, finances, slow and steady. So say in relationships, this is not somebody who's gonna like come in and just totally whisk you off your feet and be spontaneous. This is someone who's a planner. Actually, this card, my husband is spontaneous and he does sweep me off my feet, but he is known in our family as being the planner. He is our rock. So honey, when I have to kind of throw this out here, for my husband, this card actually reminds me of you. They very much are committed, devoted. They're doing the hard work day in and day out to basically reach an outcome of some sort. So with the example I just used, my husband, he is like a rock to where if I'm, say, at the hospital and I'm working, I know he's holding it down at home. He's making meals to, you know, so my kids always have a warm supper. He helps make breakfast. He gets them to the bus stop. He makes me breakfast before I go work. He is just great. I honestly couldn't wish for a better man to have married. But that's the kind of energy I'm talking about. Very loving, devoted, committed, sincere. They do not like taking risk. So this is not an energy that's going to be all about taking risk with anything. With career, it's not somebody that's wanting this quick promotion or a quick outcome. Again, they're going to day in and day out go and give their very best at whatever endeavor they choose to very much focus on. One of the shadow sides to this card is being a perfectionist. So that would be something, if you're reading for yourself or other people, you would want to maybe address that, you know, for, you know, just don't be so hard on yourself, because we're all flawed and we're not perfect, you know. And I see my husband thank me. Oh, and I see it on here too. Very good. I can see the commentary on both. And with finances, this is somebody who's very frugal, very much planned out, investing, saving. They are not frivolously spending. And they usually have an outcome in mind. There's a goal there. And every so often they're going to assess if they're meeting those goals or not. This is a very common type of management style too. Most of our managers in a career setting, they're looking at data. They're looking at hard numbers to basically determine how to efficiently run their businesses and staff them. So this is what we're talking about. It's a very, like a rock, a very dependable, solid structure, right? So I really like what Rachel said with this. I'll go ahead and hold the book up here. And this was from Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom, Spiritual Teachings and Deeper Meanings. I really have loved this book. It is so great. And her 78 Degrees of Wisdom is really good too. It's honestly, that book right here that it's referencing, it's oftentimes known as the Bible of Tarot. So, yeah, so you can't go wrong with Rachel Pollack. And then, of course, you guys know from last night that I discovered a new book. And I'm really grateful that I stumbled across this at Pathways. And it's Madame Pamita's Magical Tarot, using the cards to make your dreams come true. And it's by that same person here. Again, I love the cover. I think the cover is what really drew me into this book. I love the huge flower, her expression, how she's holding the cards. It is such a beautiful cover, and the little splashes of color, right? But more so important than the cover, because I know you can't judge a book by the cover, I opened it up. It is so full of very relevant, concise, very good information. And so I'm going to read to you from it to cover our card tonight, because I really believe this author has a really good knack at really describing these cards well. So we're about to go into that. Let's see here. I'm going to hold this guy back up. So it says, your adventure with the Knight of Pentacles. A knight sits on his black horse at a standstill atop a grassy hill. He holds his golden disc in a gloved hand, but looks past it toward the large plowed field beyond. He wears a suit of armor with a red and black striped surcoat. He and his horse both wear oak leaves instead of a plume, and his horse's trappings have a stylized oak leaf pattern. And I'm going to hold that up closer so you can see the oak leaves here. See, take those in. They're on both their knight, the bridle, the horse, and that does have a meaning. We're about to go into that here shortly. The Knight of Pentacles is the diligent workhorse, someone who knows the value of sticking with one thing and seeing it through to the end. When he shows up in a reading, he's a reminder that if you stick to the plan, you'll see the end result and the rewards will be even better than you're expecting. He's the tortoise in the fable, The Tortoise and the Hare. He knows that steady, small actions done over time will produce results. So again, we're looking at consistent efforts, right? His black horse is at a complete standstill. It's interesting to note the relationships between the riders and the horses in the images of the four knights. The Knight of Swords has a horse that's galloping as fast as he can. And I pulled our knights so that I could hold this up so you guys can see it. So remember this guy, our Knight of Swords, very much moving forward very quickly. So quite a bit of momentum on him, right? The Knight of Wands has a horse that's rearing up, active but not quite as forceful as the Knight of Swords horse. So we could basically say the Knight of Wands is the second most active, with our Knight of Swords being the most, right? And then the Knight of Cups horse is walking slowly. Let me hold him up. And here we have the Knight of Pentacles. So see how he's slow here? But there's movement. You see how we've got the horse's leg? One is up, so it is moving forward. The other one is down, but it's a slow momentum, right? Here, both of the front hooves are planted firmly on the ground. So that's significant as far as we're talking trajectory, momentum, right? So this is the slowest of all the knights. So it says here, so here we have the Knight of Pentacles standing still, almost as though he is contemplating his next move. This can, of course, indicate that there is a lack of movement, that we are stuck with all of our potential and not doing anything with it. I disagree with that, though. I can see what she's getting at, but with knights, we are generally talking about movement in some form or fashion, which differentiates them from our pages, who are very green, idealistic, and not taking the actions. They're more in that thinking stage, right? Our pages are our messengers, and our knights are the ones who are all about the movement. So let's see here. And let's see, while it may mean get moving, sometimes it can also mean taking stock and planning before taking action. The knight has plowed his field, and now he's deciding which crops will bring him the most satisfaction and abundance. So look at all that pretty dirt and those rolling hills. And it looks like he's already tilled it. You see those lines going through the dirt? And yes, we still have mountains in the distance. So to reach our objective and goals, there will be obstacles, which is very synonymous with mountains. And we do have some green growth in the distance. It's just not near our knight. Again, he's got a plan. And when I say he, it doesn't matter about sex. It can be a man or a woman. We're talking about the energy, right? So it's all about, okay, so we got a plan. It started with an idea. We've got our plan. Now, how are we going to execute it? And then measure it as we go along to make sure our plan still makes sense. What type of, outcomes are we getting? Do we need to tweak it? I think that's a bit of a nod toward like scientific method when you have like a theory or a hypothesis, and then you formulate a plan, which is like an experiment, and you execute it. And then you have an idea of what goal you want to accomplish. And so you will reassess it during that time frame. And if something's off, then you got to think of what variable is contributing toward it not doing well, right? If you think about it, if you love science like I do, that's kind of like what we've got going on here with our knight. Very thoughtful and very calculated, right? So the oak leaves, we're about to get into those. The oak leaves on his helmet and on the horse indicate that he is building something strong and long-lasting. The phrase, mighty oaks from little acorns grow, is a reminder that the biggest successes can start with something small. I really like that. The red and black surcoat and trappings remind us that the twin focus of the knight is experiencing earthly pleasure and protecting his abundance. So I'm moving that to where you can see just the coloration of his garment. And let's see here. What else? The rough blanket under his very basic saddle shows that the knight values practicality and frugality over flamboyance. So he's not trying to show out, trying to be fancy. Again, very frugal, thoughtful, practical. So this is not somebody who's going to be spending extra money on something if they can get it cheaper. And I think of my husband again. This is the guy who in our minivan with our kids in the back is, we'll take little jabs at him, like, he'll be talking as he's driving. Oh, this gas station charges 2 cents more, and he'll be like, the gas station, say in High Ridge, it's like however many cents cheaper. And then my daughter, who's almost 15, will be in the back and being like, oh, Dad, you could save however much money. That's kind of like one of our ongoing jokes when we're out as a family, because my husband, to this day, he will assess those gas prices and say it out loud to the family. Gosh, can you believe that? This is so my husband. Oh my goodness. When you're planning your next move, you may need to make small sacrifices for the greater good. And my husband says those 2 cents add up. Yes, honey, I know, and 100 of them make $1. But again, my husband's an example of this energy. Very frugal, very much so, to where they can't help themselves. They're very much frugal. So the author goes on to say, okay, key symbols of the Knight of Pentacles. So the armor is for preparation and readiness. Black horse is for protection, taking stock. Distant mountain range, potential for attainment after a long journey. So again, there's obstacles. It's not going to be a smooth, thing necessarily, but there's potential. But he's eventually going to have to kind of like meet these obstacles head on, right? To make that momentum. Glove, meaning safety, barrier. Grass, growth and ease. Knight, meaning guardian, champion. Oaks, meaning long lasting, taking time, big results from small beginnings. Again, I love that. The old brown blanket, thrift, economizing. Pentacle, practical matters, money. Again, we're talking about earthly things. The plowed field is the larger potential gain. And the red and black striped surcoat would be guarding material possessions. So as far as, she calls it the wizard's words of wisdom, what the Knight of Pentacles signifies in a reading, it could be a light at the end of the tunnel, a watchful guardian, delaying gratification. So this is not somebody's going to be quick with it, expecting a quick result. They're going to be in for the long game, you know, which is not a bad thing. Sticking with the plan, so they're committed. They're not going to get bored and just abandon their project or relationship or what have you. They're going to stick it out and see where it goes and be accountable, right? And taking time to build something strong, because the Knight cares about this. And just like I've taught my children, your name is going on your homework. You know, the way you conduct yourself at school, it is a reflection of you, but it's also a reflection of me as your parent. So sometimes and well, my kids can be heathens at times, I'll tell them, I don't care where we're at, I have not brought you up to act like this. And they know that when I make that look and I look at them, then they'll stop whatever behavior. But it's rare. I've got good kids. Let's see here. So Tim says, that's how we pay for new tarot cards. That's why I have my small business, Tim. You know that. I do tarot readings, and then that money goes toward more decks. But you are right. Every penny goes toward tarot cards. What is it? Purses. Going to Wicked Chicken, and what is that? Having the island mimosa and the chicken on the waffle. Oh, I love their chicken waffles. That's like my favorite breakfast there. Let's see here. And then it says a journal question to explore with this card would be, what is my plan? What am I doing to further this plan? So again, it's our own accountability to ourselves and to the promises that we make others. If we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. That's the energy of this night. And an affirmation would be, I see my project through to completion. Very simply put. I really love that, you know. And then Tim says, accessories. Yes, I know. I have so many accessories, among other things that I collect, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and read off the descriptors that I wrote down for this card to ensure I'm being thorough before we go into the reversals very briefly, before we go into our other cards. So we're looking at hardworking, diligent, committed, cautious. Again, this is not a risk taker. Practical, reliable, slow, and steady. I can't emphasize that with this card. It really does mean that. Patient, conservative. With love or friendships, it's being loyal, practical, trustworthy, dedicated, and a bit stubborn. Again, this is not a risk taker. So if they have their mind set that something has to be done a certain way, that's the way it's got to be done. So that could be a positive and a negative. My 13 years of being an RN, one profession where it really suits the individual to a T would be anybody who's an engineer that I've ever taken care of. These are highly intelligent people. Their room has to be set up a certain way. Their table, that bedside table, has to be set up a certain way. They want their medications to be given at certain times because we all know when you go into a hospital, they mess with the times of your medicines, and the medicines may look different because of different manufacturers, right? And it drives people nuts with all these things. An engineer would be like, okay, they might get, okay, but this is a different manufacturer for this pill, but at home, I take this pill at this time. It is not acceptable for me to take it at this time. That's what we're looking at with this energy. They're very structured, intelligent, very much planned and thoughtful with what they do, right? With career, it's slow, steady, hard work, not looking for a quick result, but good hard work, right? Dedicated, ambition, drive, focus. And with finances, we've got conservation, being frugal, a budget, saving. Again, being very thoughtful as to the potential of this pentacle, whatever it may be, for yourself in your reading or the person you're reading for. There's a lot of thought and planning going into how exactly they're going to execute this, you know? So, and then getting into the reversals. So, you know, if the reversals don't resound with you, then just don't read them. There are no hard set rules with tarot, which is one of the things I love about it. You do what works for you and resounds with you, right? That's most important. And that's why I've always said being an intuitive reader is also the most important, because we're complex. So that little book it comes with, it comes with the deck, yeah, it's great as a reference, but it's not going to be a one size fits all. It's kind of hard to kind of put it into words, but when I've done readings for especially other people, it's my intuition. Like, I'm able to see the big picture of what these cards mean together. And I see different things. I can look at the same card and do different readings for people and see different things out of that one card for different people. And I know that's crazy to think, but especially there's so much detail to draw from. It's not a difficult thing once you know your cards and you get it up, into the practice of like looking at them together and making those big connections. And even if you're starting out learning, just pulling one card a day is so insightful and it has so much meaning. So just like that book I was reading from, I mean, just for one card, all that info, right? So with the reversal, we're generally talking about the opposite of the upright energy. So this is somebody who they are not taking their time. So we went from last night, the energy of our page, who was in wonder and awe, very green and naive and young. Okay, we've got that youthful energy. Well, instead of being very meticulous and thoughtful prior to executing this plan, then we have somebody who's not. They're looking for a quick result. It could also be they want, say, more money, or they want to have that romantic relationship or friendship, or they want to be promoted at work or whatever, and they get jealous of somebody else, like, well, why wasn't I picked for whatever? Well, if they're not showing up to work when they commit themselves to be there, right? If they're not doing what's in their job description to be done, and even at times exceeding it, most managers like somebody who has initiative and drive, who doesn't say, well, that's not my job. That's probably the worst thing any of us could ever say at our work. If you don't know, just be like, hey, I don't know, but I'll help you out type of thing. But this is somebody who wants to do the bare minimum and get the reward. That's the reversal energy. Same thing with relationships. This is like a lazy lover. It's just the opposite of the upright energy, if that makes sense. And of course, with money, they frivolously spend it. They're not thinking. And then they're bummed out, by the end of the month. Well, why they couldn't pay their bills when they went to Walmart or wherever and they bought all this stuff they thought that they really wanted. But I suppose, you got to think, well, shoot, is this a need? Do I need this? Or is it just something I want? And for me, if my bills are met, then I'll go ahead and get some stuff that I don't need, but I just want. But the bills have to come first, right? But see, we're talking again, a bit of an irresponsible, lazy energy when it's in reverse, you know? And then other than that, a few other things I wrote down. It would be somebody not being focused and sticking to the one interest. This is somebody who's gonna kind of like, you know, be very fickle and want to do different things. And they might take on too much and get totally burnt out as well. So that might be a downfall. Laziness, it could be that risk taking that we don't have in the upright position, and feeling stuck or bored, because even though the work in all of our jobs, right, can be a bit monotonous, our knight doesn't mind it. Our knight is in his element, his or her element. Like, this is their jam, this is their baby that they've taken ownership of, and they love it, right? With the reversal energy, we're getting more again of that boredom and again, not being committed, not being focused, and then it spills over into these areas, right? So now we're going to go into the comparison cards, and all of these, for the exception of the last one, are based in Rider-Waite-Smith. Let's see. Okay, I was making sure I didn't have any new comments or what have you. So let's see here. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. So with this one, we have our Knight of Pentacles here. And you see how, yes, that horse, he is leading that horse, but it's very slow. It is not fast, okay? And he's moving as well right by his horse, and he's wearing that key around his neck. And, you know, he's just being very thoughtful about where they're going, very focused. The mountains are behind him and so forth. And we have this tree. It looks like there's some buds on it, like maybe like very early spring type vibes. But with effort, he will be able to see the results of his hard work, right? So I like that card. That's a good one. And with this one, we see this man, and he is carrying a pentacle like you would a backpack, like a shield on his back. There's the black horse. We're seeing that black and red color theme that carried over, right? And let's see here. I'm looking for oak leaves. I do not see any oak leaves because I was really wanting to see if those were on there or not. But we have all these pentacles, which could be referenced as seeds. So these are the culmination of all of his efforts to reach an outcome. And again, a nice, slow, steady effort. I like that he's very much in touch with the earth. So we've got grounding in place, very much that earthly energy. This is somebody, again, very attuned to that grounding process. Doesn't mind getting their hands dirty, actually loves getting their hands dirty. And just, yes, manifesting that intent, you know. So that's a really cool card. With this one, we have our crow friend holding that pentacle in its mouth. And it's atop this big, beautiful black horse. We do not have the oak leaves or the red and black coloration in play with the bridle, so we're missing that. But we do have some red here, okay? We have that, you know, the flowers here. We've got some green in our trees. You know, for me, of course, I don't hate this because I love my Crow Tarot deck. It's one of my favorites. And the horse is grounded. It's not moving. So we have a lot that carries over from our Rider-Waite-Smith card. The ground, it looks like it's white. It's covered in snow. So, but then it kind of recedes on to brown, and they're facing toward the brown. You guys get a mirror image of what I see. So this could mean making something, you know, you got to have ideal conditions in order to grow something, right? So going from, say, a climate where it wouldn't be conducive to doing well to going to one with that beautiful brown dirt. that would be very important for this little guy before it essentially buries its theoretical seed to see, it grow and manifest into that desired outcome. But it's being very thoughtful, very slow and steady, right? With this one, we just see some of the components. And so we have the pentacle, and then we've got the red here. So here's that red, like cape of sorts, and our black horse and the oak leaves, armor, the dirt fields, the tree. Okay, again, we're thinking of that growth and abundance. And I like how there's a little bit of a fire there, So even though that's like wand energy, when we're talking like fire, we have passion, drive, and not necessarily ambition. This is not somebody egotistical with ambition and wanting that glory and fame and accolades and all that. But there's a little spark under the knight's rear end that's going to make this person want to go out and plow those fields and plant and really tend to it. And again, it reminds me of my mom. When I think of people working with dirt and growing stuff, that's totally my mom. And then the last card I'll leave you guys with that I always use, because it really demonstrates why when you're learning tarot, you need a card based out of the Rider-Waite-Smith. It would be the Knight here from the, what is it, the Hush Tarot. Now, of course you guys know I love birds. From a lot of the decks I use, they've got owls and crows and so forth. This is a little cute little guy, okay? And it looks like it's holding on to a thread that is like secured, looks like, around somebody's finger. There's a key there. So I think it's almost like somebody's having like a prayer, or they're performing a prayer to say God. And it's like kind of like that going up into the universe. And then, they're wanting a desired outcome. But what I see is they have their own key. That it's great to lean into our faith and, have prayer and all that good stuff, in whatever shape or form that takes in your life. But ultimately, we have free will. We are in control of the things that we say and do. And it's taking our own ownership. So we know, like when we pray, what we hope for and ask for help with or clarification with, but it's about what are we going to do to take that action and make things manifest, right? So I see that looking at this card. But if someone's new to learning, they're going to be so lost, Oh, sorry, wrong card. I just realized I'm holding up the page because I've got different cards out. Here we go. Here's our knight. So you see what I'm saying? Like, and the only thing that I really could see too is the bird is black and our horse is black. And both of them are firmly grounded. That's, I suppose, one other thing, I guess, but not really much in common, right, with the Rider-Waite-Smith. And then I will hold up the others so you guys can compare it. And yeah, I think that sums it up. So if you have any questions, as always, that I do not believe in a stupid question. I'd rather a question be asked. If you're not comfortable posting it in the commentary or in our group, go ahead and feel free to message me with it, because I'm certainly here to help. And yeah, I think that will wrap us up for tonight. Well, I appreciate your presence here tonight and in my group. you have no idea. Like, you guys have brought me so much happiness. I'm just so grateful for your support overall. And yeah, I will be back tomorrow. And yeah, like I said, I'll probably do a go live maybe in the morning or afternoon, something like that. I'll do one go live about the Queen of Pentacles, and then maybe later on in the evening I'll do the King. So, but look out for 2 teaching moments, and then we will be totally done with all 78 tarot cards. I think that's awesome, because we just kind of got to keep building on our knowledge base. So now we're going to keep going into more and more things, I think, between spreads and different ways of looking at these cards together. We can really continue to build on our knowledge. And I think it does sum me up. So I hope you get a lot of good rest tonight wherever you are, and that you're safe and sound and happy. And I will talk at you later. Good night.